All right, you
All right,
guys.
here we go.
So excited to be here with everyone. My name is Kamala Chambers. I'm also here with Luis, my co-host and partner in love and business. And we know that your time is really, really important. We don't want to waste a single second of your time. We're here to give you a clear path to starting a podcast from absolute scratch that's going to give you 5 times the followers and attract new customers. And I know that you showed up here today because you wanted to watch a webinar, but this is not going to be a webinar. This isn't going to be some webinar where we sit here for 30 minutes talking about our story and giving you some fluff and then making some big pitch. This is going to be a training call, and you need to treat it like that because we're giving you our #1 strategy that you can take and use today. And as you watch the rest of this masterclass, you're going to realize that some of this is the most powerful information that you need to grow your business and your podcast. So what I'm talking about is being able to get 200,000 extra downloads in your first 6 months, landing interviews with the greats like Russell Brunson, JP Sears, T. Harv Eker, Gabby Bernstein, Marianne Williamson. But not only that, to get paid to speak on major stages with your heroes, even if you're in your first year. Or how about getting an extra $100,000 in your pocket just from working from home in your pajamas, or like Luis and I when we're traveling all over the world, doing exactly what you love and nothing else. Now, what I'm telling you right now is this is not just a webinar, this is a training. We've spent months and months taking this valuable information, testing it, and we know with 100% certainty that this is going to help you learn how to start a podcast from scratch, leverage it, and grow it so you can have amazing results. I know we're making some really bold claims here, but this is fact, and it comes down to a few strategies that we're going to teach you. This is what we want for you. We want you to have results like these.
What's up, guys? Luis. And look, we're not the only ones who've been able to 5x our following and make 6 figures a year with our podcast. We have successful students and community members who are getting huge results too. Like Bruce Langford, over 200,000 downloads for his show. Or Bryce Prescott added an extra 31,000 downloads to his show per month, which you can also have. Or how about podcast community member who interviewed Hugh Jackman in person, which we're teaching you those methods that he used and that we're using to get interviews like this also. Or Arnie, another member of Paid to Podcast who used podcasting to blast his Facebook group to over 10,000 members. And I talked to him today, and it's more like 20,000 now. Another member added an extra 8,000 downloads to her show. And Luke, he's another member who was able to interview UFC announcer Bruce Buffer and Win Kelly Charles. She had an extra 20,000 downloads to her show and landed a sponsor within the first 2 weeks of Paid to Podcast. And you can have results like this too. Look, we've had some amazing guests. Because of our show, we talk to our heroes every week, the people we admire the most, and podcasting makes it so you can be anywhere and everywhere online and get that extra attention. Look, you're not only on iTunes, but you're on SoundCloud, YouTube, and so many other mediums. Here's a screenshot of us with our interview with Dr. John Gray, over 12,000 views just on YouTube alone. Also, our interview with the Gottmans in person, over 40,000 views on YouTube. And for our podcast, that was over 13,000 listens within 36 hours. A podcast puts you on so many platforms and draws an audience to you from all over the internet. Look, we've been able to land these amazing guests, but most importantly, we're leveraging their audience. And that's how we're getting people coming to us every single day. And that's what we're going to talk about here today. How to get those amazing interviews, but even more importantly, how to leverage and explode your audience with those interviews.
I want to make sure that you guys are in the right place and on the right masterclass. You are in the right place if you have a message to share, But no matter how hard you try, it just seems like no one's listening to you or your message, and you're worried that you're going to run out of topics or not be entertaining enough if you start a podcast. In this masterclass, we're going to show you how you don't even have to come up with topics, or you don't have to generate a bunch of ideas. You're in the right place if you've been struggling to build a following, and no matter how hard you try, you just can't seem to make the sales or get enough customers. We totally get that. It's really hard to try to get your message out there online, but it doesn't have to be. We're going to show you how having a podcast is actually the easiest and the quickest way to get the attention and the following that you want. You are in the right place if you already know that you want to start a podcast and grow that into a business, but you're intimidated because you don't know where to start. You're trying to get started, but you don't know what the next step is. And you just want a strategy that's going to get your podcast heard and turn your audience into customers. It's so good that you're here, because we're going to give you the 5 steps that you need to take to get your podcast published without having to do anything super techy. You're in the right place if you're feeling overwhelmed with all the information and the platforms that everyone's talking about, and you just want to know the exact strategies and steps that will actually lead to building your following, getting your message heard, and organically growing using a podcast. Even if you're starting from absolute zero, getting your podcast published is easy, but what 90% of people don't do is they don't use that podcast to supercharge their following. So you're not just going to learn how to launch your podcast, but how to use that podcast to connect with industry leaders and get 5 times the attention.
Now, look, I know everybody's time is really valuable. So Kamala and I want to just take a moment to tell you, if you're here, you're what it takes for you not to be in the right place. So look, you're not in the right place if you think you can grow a massive podcast overnight and you're looking for a quick fix. Just because you publish a podcast doesn't mean you get famous overnight. There are strategies that will help you get results. But look, you're not in the right place if you think podcasting takes too much work. Yes, you will have to put work into it, but Kamala and I have created a process that takes a lot of the work out of it. We have a 5-day-a-week show, and we spend an average of no more than 3 hours a week on our show. Also, you're not in the right place if you think you have learned everything just by getting a few free trainings already. There's a lot of information out there. With the internet nowadays, you can get so much information, but if you think you know everything, you can leave the masterclass right now, because you're not going to get anything out of it if you think you know everything. Also, you're not in the right place if you think this podcasting thing is about self-promotion, ego, listens, and downloads. There isn't a bank in the world that takes currency for money. Today's masterclass is about making real, actual income from your show and growing a business at the same time. Look, you're not in the right place if you think you're going to take action because you think you will get to it later, or you think you already know how to podcast. If you're not going to take action, you're wasting my time, your time, and you can just leave the masterclass. Also, you're not in the right place if you get mad and throw a fit when someone gives you 60 minutes of their most profitable advice and then makes an offer to give you more insider training. Look, guys, Kamala and I have been podcasting and running our business for a combined of over 6 years, and it would literally be impossible for us to take that 6 years of info and put it into a 60-minute presentation. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you our #1 strategies that is going to show you how to start your podcast from scratch, bring on the biggest authorities and leaders in any niche, grow your following 5 times faster than anyone else, and turn your listeners into customers. Now, for those of you who want more insider training and all of our strategies and want us to help you grow a profitable podcast, well, we're going to give you an opportunity to join our program, Paid to Podcast, at the end of the masterclass. But we're only going to do that once we've given you our #1 strategy that you can take and implement today. So if that's okay with you, let's move on.
Well, what we're going to get into today is we're going to show you how to set up your podcast from zero and have your first 3 big name interviews lined up so you can get your message heard 5 times faster than everyone else. We're also going to give you the exact podcasting formula that we use to get huge industry authorities and even celebrities on our podcast, and how you can get them to share your podcast with their audience. That's going to allow you to grow faster than all the other experts out there. We're also going to show you the biggest podcast strategy secret that you need to know in order to use your podcast to grow a massive following, get your message heard by thousands, and scale your business. So after today, you're going to experience the effects of podcasting that quickly transforms you into the authority. So selling becomes easier, trust becomes instant, and growing your business becomes effortless. We will leave you today with a clear plan of action to start a profitable podcast that will generate a loyal audience and actually bring you customers and grow your business. This is the new generation of podcasting.
Look, and we appreciate all of you for being here. So we're going to reward all of you who stay until the end. I really like rewarding people. So we're going to give you the Ultimate Podcaster Launch Guide. Look, we've never given this guide away before, and we don't plan on doing it. But here, today, we'll give it to everyone who stays until the end of the training, but only if you stay until the end. So let me ask you, are you guys excited? Are you ready? Put a yes in the chat box. Let us know you're pumped. Kamala and I are excited, and we are ready. We're going to start at the very beginning because I think it's really important for you to know who's teaching this to you and that anyone can do this, and that includes you.
I started my entrepreneurial journey hitchhiking all over the world as a teenager, and that's when I first discovered how important freedom is to me. If you're like me, then you probably realize that too. I decided to start a business at 19 as a Jill of all trades, and I went to school to become an energy medicine practitioner. But I wanted even more freedom, which is why I transitioned to an online business at the age of 25. I was writing articles for publications and blogs, and that was really difficult to make money at. If you've ever tried it, you probably had a really similar experience. And around that time, I started to hear about online courses, and I became obsessed with learning everything I could about online courses. I started doing everything the gurus were telling me to do. I was creating courses and webinars and writing blog posts, but still nothing was happening with my online business. I just wasn't getting results. If you've ever been in that situation, you know how absolutely depressing and frustrating it can be. I released my first course and I didn't get any sales. I just wanted to shout, I have a skill. I have the drive, I have the knowledge, I can help people. Why aren't people buying? I was doing everything that everyone told me to do. And after my 3rd course, I finally started to make some progress, but I also knew how to create my irresistible offer, but I wasn't making money still. Luckily for me, that's right around the time that Luis came into my life, and he shared how he was using podcasting to connect with industry leaders and influencers to grow an audience, but he wasn't monetizing any of it. And that was the moment that changed everything. I didn't know it at the time, but I had that piece that Luis was missing, which was creating an amazing offer. And he had that piece that I needed, which was how to grow a following with a podcast. When you have a following, the selling becomes 10 times easier, especially when you have an irresistible offer. And if you're having problems getting customers, chances are you're missing either the following, or you're missing the irresistible offer, or you're missing both. When it came to podcasting, I was worried about all the same things that you probably are. I was worried that I wouldn't know what to say on the podcast. I was scared to death that no one would want to listen. And how on earth was I going to come up with new topics every single time? But I decided I needed a change, and that's when I I realized what I was doing, it wasn't working. So I went all in. And when Luis and I combined our skills, we created 2 podcasts together, and something magical started to happen. In our first 3 months, we started getting 500 to 1,000 downloads a day, and our listeners started reaching out to us, wanting more help on the topics that we were talking about. We didn't have to sell anything. People were coming to us. We instantly became the authorities, and we were selling coaching, mastermind groups, services, courses, and that scaled into a 6-figure business. And more importantly, our message was finally being heard, our audience was growing faster than ever, and our business exploded.
Look, since then, we've been invited to super exclusive events that have been all paid for. We travel the world working from our laptops, have a massive and strong audience who loves listening to our message, and we're making an impact right from our laptops, traveling the world, helping hundreds of people just like you do the same. So let's make this happen for you too and dive into the actual strategy. So let me lay out the strategy for you. In part 1 of this masterclass, we're going to cover how to start your podcast from scratch. In part 2, we're going to give you our #1 strategy to get big name guests onto your podcast. And then in part 3, we're going to get into the gold of how to build your following fast with the authority advantage technique. So let's dive into part 1, guys. There are 5 easy steps to getting your podcast published. Step 1, you need to decide what your show is about. Right? Somebody in the comments said, I need to decide what my show is about. That's step 1. Step 2, you need to get your podcasting equipment. And guys, we're going to cover all of this. I'm not just showing you the map and then just going to leave you there. I'm going to actually walk you through it. Step 3, you'll need to record your show. And then step 4, get that cover art made. And step 5, go live, submit your show, get it all over the internet.
So let's get into step 1. Let's figure out what your show is going to be about. Maybe you already have an idea, but we want to make sure we refine this process for you. Your podcast should not be something that's really vague or general. It should seek to solve a specific problem because your business solves a specific problem. And you want to attract people who will want the solution that your business solves. So by honing your podcast into one specific solution and niche, you start to attract an audience that will want to buy from you. And more importantly, it allows you to finally be heard by the people on every corner of the globe, and you will finally have a way to get your message out there and help more people than you ever thought possible. Now for step 2, you need to get your podcasting equipment. This information will also be in the launch guide that we're going to give you at the end of the masterclass too, so you can get the resources there. For the mic, it doesn't need to be something fancy or expensive. The best quality and inexpensive mic that we recommend is an ATR 2100. You can see in this photo that we have 3 different mics, and the ATR 2100 is the smallest that we use, but we love it because we're always traveling. We can take it anywhere. The sound is great. And in the picture, you can also see us with a more expensive setup, which you don't need, but we have that resource included in the launch guide that you're going to get at the end in case you want to go all out. So next, you want to get into your recording software. If you're doing interviews, you can use Skype for free or Zoom. And now for the audio editing, there's free editing software like GarageBand for Mac or Audacity if you're a PC user. So this can be really low cost just to get started. And lastly, you want some headphones so you don't have any echo from the room. And you can use a simple pair of headphones, something that came with your phone even.
Now for step 3 of launching your podcast, we're talking about recording your show. You have a few options, and depending on the type of computer you use and the style of podcast you want to create, there's several options for you. For interviews, Zoom, which works on Mac and PC, but it's limited to 1 hour of recording for free, and then after that you need to pay. If you have a Mac, you can use Skype plus Ecamm, and with Ecamm you pay $29.99 one time, and that's it, and then no limits on it. I highly recommend doing interviews on your show if you want to have a massive following. For when you record solo episodes, which I also recommend you have solo episodes. You don't need a communication style tool because you can record directly onto your computer. So you don't have to use Skype or Zoom or anything like that. You can just use GarageBand for Mac, which comes for free, or Audacity, which is for PC and Mac, which is also free. And for editing, I like to use GarageBand for Mac. And if I'm using a PC, Audacity for PC or Mac works just fine. These are amazing tools, and these are tools I know that musicians and people that record music also use. These are also the least complicated and least expensive options out there.
The important thing is that you don't have to make it overly complicated, and you don't have to use expensive equipment or some fancy sound studio. Luis and I interviewed the creator of Bulletproof Coffee, Dave Asprey, while we were traveling in Colombia for 2 months. And just as we were about to do the interview, all the roosters started growing crazy outside. So we used every single piece of furniture in the apartment to make a tiny sound studio out of furniture. So this doesn't have to be really complicated for you guys. So let's get into the fun stuff, which is getting your cover art made for your show. The cover art is basically what people see when they look for your podcast. It's like an album cover in iTunes, or for a CD, for anyone who remembers what those are. There are 3 essential elements to creating cover art that's going to really help you to stand out. The first one is you want to have your picture on your cover art. You want your picture on your cover art because you want your podcast to directly relate to your business, and you want your face to be in the forefront of your brand. People connect more with an individual than they do with a company. The next thing is you want to have large and easy to read font on your cover. You want people to be able to read it even when your cover is a small thumbnail on their phone or tablet. The third thing you want is you want your colors to match your brand. You want your podcast to match your logo, your website, and your social media graphics. You want your brand to be noticeable at a glance. Now, where can you get your cover art made? I recommend that you don't cut corners on your cover art. Your cover art could mean the difference between people clicking on your show or scrolling right past it. You could get your cover art done on Fiverr. That's an option. The quality may be subpar there. And a lot of people think, oh, I'll just go to Fiverr. I just want to share this little nightmare story that we had, that we had our first cover art done on Fiverr, and about 6 months after our show launched, Luis and I saw our cover art being used somewhere else. And the Fiverr designer basically stole the image from someone else. So I just want you guys to know there are some nightmare stories there, even though you can get your cover art done for really cheap. A next place is 99 Designs. The quality is it could be good. It may look good. There are a lot of different designs to choose from on that site, but your cover art might not be optimized. We've seen fellow podcasters create their cover art there, but their cover art is the wrong size, and it ends up crashing the podcast app on their phone when people try to listen to it. So we also create cover art at Thriving Launch. That's an option too. And if you join Paid to Podcast, you're going to have an opportunity for our team of podcast cover art designers create your cover art for you. So here's examples of cover art that we've made, and we want to give you some ideas of what to look for cover art. This is well-branded cover art. The font is easy to read. The color and branding is clear. The face of the host is on the cover. And you can see one example here where the business owner didn't want his face on the cover and his branding wasn't as clear. So we had to rely more on a font to make it pop. And the font, you might notice, isn't as easy to read. So it's nice, and it's zen, like what he wanted to go for. But as you can see, the cover arts that have really clear colors that pop and the faces are on the cover, they stand out way more than the other ones.
All right, now it's time to go live. In step 5, you're going to need hosting for your podcast. Really simply, hosting is a place that holds all of your audio files and then pushes them out to multiple podcast platforms like iTunes. A lot of people think their show is going to be hosted on iTunes, but it's actually hosted elsewhere. So you absolutely need hosting. But look, it's really cheap, and we recommend Podbean because it's just $9 a month for unlimited hosting. And once you have podcast hosting, you can submit your show to iTunes. All you have to do is just grab your special link from Podbean. See in the screen image there where it says special link. All you have to do is grab that link, send it over to iTunes, and boom, in a couple days, you're live. And 1 to 5 days, your show will be live. Now, from there, you can submit that same special link that I showed you to other places like Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn FM, and all the other places that take your show. We're talking about tons of different places where you can have your show listed, and then you're everywhere on the internet. And now, let me give you a bonus tip.
I just want to say, isn't in that launch guide we're giving them, isn't there a link for them to get 1 month free?
Inside the launch guide, yes, there's a link there for you guys to get a free month of hosting as well. Let me give you a tip to get into New and Noteworthy, which is getting potentially into the front page of iTunes. To get into New and Noteworthy, you want rate and reviews. And you can do that by joining our Facebook group, The Podcaster's Secret Weapon, because in there we do rate and reviews. Also, you can get people to share your show, which equals more downloads, and you can do this by doing email shout-outs, social media shout-outs, do everything possible to have people in your community share your show. Also, make sure that your artwork is optimized, 1400 by 1400 or 3000 by 3000. You want your artwork to be optimized because iTunes likes these dimensions.
Now I want to get into the really exciting stuff, part 2, how to get big name guests onto your podcast. So here's our number 1 strategy to get big name guests onto your podcast. In step 1, you're going to create an email template for you to send out right now. You're going to create that email template right here while we're live. Then we're going to give you a tool to find industry leaders' email. And then we're going to go right into how to invite guests onto your show via social media if the email doesn't work. And then in step 4, where to go and to find your guests. If email fails, if social media fails, where do you go from there?
All right, so let me show you more specifically how to invite guests onto your show so that they say yes. Step 1, invite leaders onto your show through email. I know it doesn't sound like some revolution here, but it really is. This is it, through email. This method works at least 90% of the time for us to get guests. So the first step is you're going to create a simple email to invite the guests onto your show. The first thing to start with in the email is a short compliment that's relevant to them and their work. I mean, here is an example. Let me tell you about UFC Hall of Famer and actor who's been in a few movies you probably recognize, Bas Rutten. When I wrote him, simple compliment. Hi, Boss. I'm a big fan of your work. For the past 10 years, I've been training in mixed martial arts. I've watched your fights, watched your movies, and I even watched you win the heavyweight title. Now, the second part of the email, tell them very briefly who you are and what your show is about. So let me give you an example of what I wrote Boss again. I run a podcast dedicated to helping athletes and entrepreneurs across the world, and it would be an honor to have you on my show. Now, the third part of this email is remind them that it's a short interview. Take away the resistance. Everybody has this sensation of, oh, you're asking me to come on your show. That's my time. What's involved? Take away all these questions, and you can do it very simply by saying something like this. Hi, boss. The interview would only take 15 to maybe 30 minutes of your time, and it will go out to thousands of people. Now, do you hear what I'm saying there? 20 to 30 minutes of your time to reach thousands of people, and all you have to do is show up on Skype and answer some questions. After that, we want to sign off. Say thank you. Tell them that you're looking forward to the interview. Here's how I finish. Hey, boss, would you be interested in coming on my show? I look forward to hearing from you and doing our interview. Thank you, Luis Congdon. It's a very simple template, but let me tell you, with those few sentences, you're able to hook, grab, and get a commitment from people. Now, let me tell you about grabbing people's emails, because a lot of us are thinking, okay, great, Luis, this sounds great, but how do I actually reach out to them? You've given me the template. How do I reach out? Tool, Email Hunter. It's an incredible tool, and it's the first step to contacting guests. So you go to a guest's website, you find the contact page. Almost everybody and their mom that has a website has a contact page. So this is the first place we want to go. Now, many sites have the contact page, and that's where we want to go and reach them. But if that doesn't work, we have a tool for you to dig a little deeper, and I already alluded to it when I said Email Hunter. This tool has literally helped me. So go grab this tool. It's called Email Hunter. With the plugin, you can do something like this. So Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul, the movie The Secret, guy's very famous. He's worked with Tim Ferriss, all sorts of celebrities. Look at that. I hit that little tool and look at all the emails that I can have access to now. Now, using my template with Email Hunter, I wrote Jack Canfield, and of course, he said yes to coming on to the podcast. But hey, what do you do if email doesn't work? It's not always going to work, but it's going to work most of the time, and it's the first thing that I suggest that you do. But if that doesn't work, you go on social media and you can tweet at the person, just like I did here with Dr. John Gray, who wrote the New York Times best-selling book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And that's how I got him on the show. A simple tweet there, it says, hey, I run a podcast. It's had so-and-so on the show, and I would like to have you on. Response, sounds fun, Luis. Email me here, and I'm available. Now, you can also go to Instagram and invite them onto your show. Or you can create a YouTube video and send them that video that you posted on YouTube. Like, for example, our community member, Bryce Prescott, who I told you about earlier, who's doing over 30,000 downloads a month with his show. He sent a YouTube video to an actor from that show, Entourage, and the current show, Power. He sent him a video on YouTube, and the guy said, yes, I will come on your show. Now, I'm talking about a famous Hollywood celebrity who's been featured in some of the best, highest gross winning TV shows. So he's done very well for himself. And with a simple YouTube video, Bryce landed that interview. Also, now, what if this doesn't work? You can go where your guests are and you can stay on top of their mind. And what I mean by this is, for example, Bruce Lipton here in the image. I've tweeted at him several times. He didn't respond. So what I started to do is I started to like, comment, retweet his stuff. And then after it seemed like he was starting to engage with me. It seemed like he was starting to notice my tweets and my messages just in a public way without me asking him to come on the show. Then I asked him to come on the show, and he said, of course, here's the email. I would love to come on your show. Talk to you soon.
Oh, it's so awesome. That's so awesome. It really works, you guys. You try it. Go out and try it right now because it really works. Let's get into part 3, which is about how to build your authority advantage fast with the authority advantage technique. Let's get your following built. Because of podcasting, we've become online authorities. Suddenly, we're talking to big name leaders, and people naturally associate you with other experts when people see you side by side with them. We've spoken on big stages, and even on the TEDx stage, we've been featured in magazines and publications like Mind Body Green, The Good Men Project, Huffington Post. Our podcast is actually in Huffington Post. Every day that we publish an episode, it's in Huffington Post, Inc. magazine, and Entrepreneur magazine, and tons of other publications. If you know how to leverage a podcast, it can get you some serious, serious PR.
All right, so let's talk about some ways you can build your authority advantage. Step 1, interview industry leaders the right way. Step 2, build rapport with your guests. Don't just do an interview, build rapport. Step 3, give guests the air date. And step 4, make the episode easy to share.
For step 1, you want to interview industry leaders the right way. Guests appreciate when you show that you care about the quality of the episode. So a tip for interviewing industry leaders, make sure that their sound is good. I can't tell you how many times people show up and they're in an echoey room and they haven't turned the ringer on their phone off, or even they don't even have a mic, or it sounds scratchy, or it's blown out because it's too close to their mouth. So show your guests that you care about the way that they sound by spending a few moments to make adjustments with them. I know some people feel intimidated. These are really big name people, but people are so appreciative when you take a little bit of time to make adjustments if it's needed. Then you want to ask them to turn off all the notifications on their computer and their Skype, so there's not going to be any interruptions. And then while you're just sitting there having a chat with them at the very beginning, listen for static or rustling or background noise before the interview even starts. For step 2, to build your authority advantage technique, it's about building rapport with your guests. Luis and I have been interviewed on over 100 podcasts. And what pretty much every podcaster does is that they do the interview with us and the relationship is over. We never even hear from that person again. Our aim is to give value to our guests. We look for ways we can add even more value to their lives. Coming onto our show is already helping them get their message out there in an even bigger way. But we also try to find other ways to give back. So you want to be a giver instead of a taker. Don't just get on the call with the guests and say like, oh, hey, can I have your books for free? Or, hey, I want this or I want that. Look for ways that you can add more value to their life. Also, chat with them briefly for a little bit. Talk to them like you are friends already. Find out ways to highlight what they are passionate about. You know, one thing I see a lot of people doing is we go onto their shows and they just kind of read this script of questions and they don't really engage with what lights us up as human beings. So when you really engage with what lights an individual up, they're going to feel so much better than just going through your script of questions. Look for ways that you can highlight their strengths and their passions on the interview rather than just following the same script every single time. If they seem nervous, that's okay. Just let them know that you can edit if they mess up, so they're more relaxed during the interview. It's not something that you record live. You can go back and edit anytime. So that really helps people to feel more relaxed, more at ease, more like you're creating rapport with them. After the interview, I encourage you not to just hang up. Thank them for coming on and share your gratitude and appreciation for who they are and for the work that they share. Here we are with world-renowned love researchers Dr. John and Julie Gottman, 19-time Oprah guest Dr. Harville Hendrix and Dr. Helen Fisher, and 3-time NYC bestselling author Marianne Williamson. Having a podcast isn't just about landing an interview. It's about creating connections with the people that you admire most. Now, for step 3 of the authority advantage technique, you want to make sure that you give guests the air date before the episode even goes live. Your guests won't share if you don't give them a heads up of when the episode goes live. Sometimes people have their content calendars are booked out 6 months in advance, so you have to give them a chance. Get your podcast release calendar ready before you even do the interview, so you can tell them right then and there at the end of the interview when their episode's going to air. Then you want to email them a week before the interview airs to remind them that it's going to go live and the date that it's going to go live. Then email them the day the episode goes live and let them know where you're sharing. So many times we've been on interviews, we've been on other people's podcasts, and the host never even told us that the episode was released. Not all your guests are going to share the episode, but there is absolutely zero chance of them sharing if you don't at least give them a chance to. If you want to know the very quickest way to grow your following and get listeners to your show, here it is. This is the magic secret. Listen closely. Get your guests to share the episode to their audience. Now, all of a sudden, not only do you have your followers tuning in, but you have their followers too. And the next guest that comes out, you have their followers too, and your show grows exponentially.
All right, let's dive into step 4, the authority advantage technique, making it easy for your guests to share, and so you can really leverage authorities. Now, you never want to demand or require that your guest shares. It's completely up to them. But look, when you email them the day the episode goes live, you can remind them it was a great interview, it was quality, and it's great content for them to share with their audience if they choose to. And in the email, when you remind them, let them know all the things you're doing to promote the episode, who you're sharing it with, your email list, social media following, even the size of your followings, and where you're sharing it. Also, you can send them all the materials so that they can share, like episode graphics, show notes, link to the episode, all the things that make it easy to share. Also, post the show on every social media platform, such as Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and tag your guests in those appropriate areas. So when I go to Twitter, I definitely tag my person, and I might say, great interview with Kamala, and tag at Kamala Chambers there, and then the link to the episode. So now Kamala sees that she's been tagged and she gets a little ping. But if she doesn't go into Twitter that day, it doesn't matter. I've got her on Facebook and Instagram and maybe on YouTube or Google Plus or all the other places that I'm sharing. And look, you can even recycle the content and use some automation software so that your episode is being promoted for months and your guest sees that also. Look, we even create graphics to go with quotes so that the guest sees this beautiful image of their interview. Like, here's an example of Jack Canfield sharing on his Facebook page. He got over 1,000 likes in this image. Also, best-selling author Jen Sincero, over 15 shares, all completely organic traffic for us. Also, Bruce Lipton had hundreds of likes, hundreds of comments, and over 161 shares. That's all organic traffic coming to us. Or Don Miguel Ruiz shared it on Facebook and Instagram, and here in this image has over 300 likes for this image. Also, how about email drops? Some of the most coveted real estate in the world of business is email drops. Here's David Deutsch, a highly respected email marketer who shared it with his list of 20,000 plus fans. Or how about Robert Bly, who shared it with his email list, and because it was such a high quality interview, he made sure to share it because we gave him a heads up and let him know. And this drop right here by Robert Bly, over 60,000 email readers. We've gotten hundreds of new opt-ins and thousands of extra downloads just from these 2 emails. Also, I want to let you know this is possible for you. Remember, it starts with your message. You can grow a massive audience from zero. You could start your own podcast the right way and turn that message into a loyal audience who buys from you.
Yes, so remember, this is not theory. This actually works. This is the exact strategies that we've used to bring on tens of thousands of leads and listeners, hundreds of new clients, and that has helped entrepreneurs build their brand, get exposure that they thought wasn't even possible, and increase their revenue. So it's something that they can actually depend on whether they decide to work that day or not. Your experience at this point, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a total newbie or you think you don't have anything interesting to say, or if technology just scares you to death. It's all about taking one step at a time and following the steps that are proven and that work. But you have to follow the steps to make sure that you set yourself up to have the perfect podcasting strategy that effortlessly and organically grows the profitable audience that you need. The main takeaway is this: podcasting allows anyone to attract their target audience from scratch so that you put your lead generation and brand growth on autopilot. Basically, it attracts the audience that you are absolutely required to have in order to break out of the plateau that you've been experiencing. It attracts an audience that wants to buy your products and can't wait for every bit of content that you put out there. this is what our students are actually doing. And after 6 years of doing this for our clients, we've systematized it and cracked the code on growing your business with podcasting. In fact, we did this with our own show, Thriving Launch, our latest show, and we just launched in October, and our show has already reached hundreds and thousands of people, and it has literally changed our business. It's changed our lives. It's changed the lives of our clients. It is very much replicatable, and it can be applied by anyone, and it can cut the frustration and the overwhelm out of trying to figure it all out yourself. You can avoid the mistakes and make it effective the very first time around. So the obvious question is this: how can you apply this code and system for podcasting to bring you in more sales with less effort and zero advertising costs? Today, we gave you our momentum strategy, but it got us started the fastest. But remember, that's just one strategy. It's one strategy of an entire system that created an audience from scratch, scales that audience, and builds the unbreakable bond and turns your audience into buyers, that turns into an unstoppable brand and business that you need to be in order to have the life you want. And you have a choice.
So you can take some of what you learned today and try to figure out how to do it yourself through trial and error, the slow way, like that turtle there, or you can have us show you exactly how to do it the fast and easy way with Paid to Podcast. Paid to Podcast is our complete step-by-step system designed to take you by the hand to launch your podcast, build your loyal following, create your offer, and connect you with industry leaders so you can get paid to get your message out to the world. It's an easy-to-use podcasting plans that guarantees you success to stand out, get famous guests, get more sales, and of course, have that freedom that you want. With Paid to Podcast, nothing is held back from you. There are no missing steps. Kamala and I have filled it all in, and you'll have the full step-by-step training that all you need to do is follow and see the results. It's the fastest way to go from point A to point B. It's what I wish I had when I started. It's the way that you can go from, I don't know how to podcast, to I'm connecting with the most famous people in my industry, and I'm boosting my credibility. Look, here's a picture of Luke Sumbath, who's followed our methods. He's landed an interview with UFC announcer Bruce Buffer, the main announcer. He's also gone to cut a few deals with some UFC people, and these results are not typical in the podcasting world, but our students and community members, they regularly get results like this. Look, I want to show you what we've been doing and what our students are doing because of podcasts so you can see what's possible for you. Just 2 days into our show being released, we're already in the top 100 charts of all of iTunes. We're regularly bringing in high-end clients who pay us $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, even $20,000 for our services. That's a $10,000 check for one job coming in payment in full all at once, and we're landing highly respected interviews 5 days a week with our show. Here's our community member interviewing Gary Vaynerchuk. If you know anything about Gary V, you know he's very hard to land. You see there nearly 400,000 views to that one video that one day. We're regularly getting messages like these from people who say they listen to an episode and they want to buy our services, or better yet, people who want to join our mailing list and buy one of our online courses, which is basically passive income. Our Paid to Podcast student, Arnie Giske of the Millennial Entrepreneur, he's used his podcast to grow his online community to 10,000 members. Talked to him today. He said they just hit 20,000, and he's told me it keeps growing by 1,000 members a month. Or how about Paid to Podcast member Nick Snap of the Make It Snappy show? He went from not making money with his show to having a step-by-step process to bringing in income. Or Sheila Sutherland, who was just featured in Influencive magazine and who's not only using her podcast to bring in high-caliber guests, but also overcame her social anxiety through her podcast. These are the kinds of results that are really common for Paid to Podcast students. Now, Kamala, why don't you tell them what's in store inside Paid to Podcast?
Okay, let me tell you what's waiting for you inside of Paid to Podcast. In section 1, we're going to help you release your pro quality podcast. We're going to help you design a show that your audience will be excited to listen to and that will get you fans flocking in. Then you're going to learn how to create a cover for your podcast that helps your brand to stand out even more. Then you're going to discover how to record and edit a pro quality show without having to empty your bank account to make it happen. Then we're going to make your show live and race to the top of the charts. And you'll discover how to take your show from a few dozen listeners a day to a few thousand listeners a day. In Module 1, we're going to make sure that you're creating a podcast that people will want to listen to. Then in Module 2, we're going to get your show up in a way that matches your message, so it actually leverages into your business. Module 3, you're going to create your podcast cover art. Module 4, your podcasting equipment. Module 5, we're going to start recording your show, getting it recorded the right way. In Module 6, we're going to get you published. This is the basic stuff. Well, this stuff is what we've already covered in this masterclass. We're going to dive even deeper in it. In section 2, we're going to talk about how to get high-level guests. You're going to get all the guides, the videos, the templates, the trainings, and the recordings that you need to connect with high-level guests. You're going to be able to get the most famous people in your industry on your show. You're going to learn the secret formula to get big-name guests to say yes to coming on your show 99% of the time. I didn't think this was real. I looked at Luis's response rate. It is actually true. And in the rare case that you get a no, you're going to discover how to turn that no into a yes. You're also going to make friends with some of the biggest players and learn the formula to get them to promote you and your offers. Then in section 3, we supercharge your following. We want to get fans flocking to your podcast by implementing the most underused methods to get devoted listeners. Then you're going to learn how to use your podcast to build your list and get tons of organic traffic. From there, we want to get you well known to dominate your market so people are excited to buy every single thing that you offer. Then you're going to find out how to automate your show so that you can gain followers even when you're sleeping, or in our case, when we're traveling. In that Module 1, you're going to get pro podcasting tips on getting ratings. Module 2 is all about boosting downloads. Module 3 is about making money from your show. How are the 12 different ways to actually start making money from your show. Then we're going to get into the real gold in section 4, which is about how to create your own offer to make money from your podcast. This is so jam-packed. You're going to learn the 5-part system to discover what your audience wants most. You're going to be able to actually read their minds with this. Then you create your own online course that allows your audience to be excited by everything that you have to offer. You're going to set up your sales funnel so you can make passive income and learn the secret methods that is going to save you months of work. You're going to get the exact steps to make money for years for every hour of work that you do. We're going to start by Module 1, kind of going into this pre-training where you're going to get some mindset shifts to see what's actually standing in your way. And then after we clear through that, Module 1 is all about nailing your niche. Module 2 is going to be actually developing your offer. Module 3, we walk you through everything you need to set up your sales funnel, to automate your sales for passive income. Module 4, you're going to be able to get your message out there even more and stand out with video marketing. Module 5, we're going to dive into how to use your podcast as content marketing to put yourself out there in a very organic way, getting people buying what you have to offer. In Module 6, we're going to talk about how to boost enrollment into your podcast, into your offers, and beyond. And as you see, we don't hold anything back from you. We're giving you everything that we have. This is the very clear step-by-step action plan. I'm sure you want to know how much this investment is going to bring you to, and what would your business be like if you could 9 times your investment, or at least double it. Most people think that they're saving money by doing it all themselves. but you can make really expensive mistakes. Not only does it waste you time and money to try to do everything yourself, but you're losing money because you're stopping yourself from getting to the level that this training can bring you to. As a recovering do-it-myselfer, I have to tell you that getting support and having a podcast are the two things that made all the difference to my success. And it took me 6 freaking years of trial and error, over $100,000 in training and mentoring to learn everything that we're bringing to you and pay to podcasts.
Now, when we do this for our clients, we charge easily between $2,000 to $5,000 a month, and sometimes we even take a percentage of all the sales. But obviously, we're not going to charge you anything near that today. To get access to Paid to Podcast and master this for yourself, it's 4 installments of $297. Plus, we have killer bonuses. Bonus 1, the technical guide for the non-technical person. Get the step-by-step process for setting up your recording and editing so that you sound like a pro today. Set up your podcast without needing to know how to code or hire some expensive tech genius. In fact, I've shown kids ages 7, 8 years old and up how to use this, and I've shown grandparents how to use this, so I know anyone can use this process. Also, how about a plug-and-play website designed to help you sell your online course? This is literally going to save you hours of work. How about a done-for-you opt-in page? So all you have to do is fill in the blank, watch your list grow. How about the Sound Like a Pro checklist so you can create a pop-up sound studio anywhere that you are? And bonus 2, save time and money resource guide. You're going to discover the most cost-effective time-saving software and resources so you can spend as little as 30 to 60 minutes a week on your highly popular podcast. Also, you're going to learn our top resources that have literally saved us hundreds and will save you hundreds, if not more, of dollars of every single month. Also, how about never wasting another moment trying to figure out which microphone, software, social media automation, email marketing, hosting software, funnels, and so many other things. I could talk about the stuff that we're going to show you to save you time all day long. Bonus 3, outsource your work. This alone is worth much more than Paid to Podcast to me. It's one of our favorite resources. I absolutely love this. You're going to stop spending all your time creating graphics, posting to your website, answering emails, growing social media, going out and getting guests, designing newsletters, editing your podcast, doing videos, all of that. Instead, you're going to discover how to hire reliable and honest virtual assistants for less than $10 a day. We're talking about a few bucks on the hour. Also, you're also going to learn how to avoid some of the biggest pitfalls when hiring so you can find the right people to work for you the right way and do that right away. Also, how about learning how to automate your team so you're not spending any of your time managing people? One of the things people say is learn how to create a team, but then you got to learn how to manage that team. We've learned it. Now we're going to teach you so you can literally save hours and hundreds of dollars every single week. How about bonus number 4, a mastermind Facebook group, 24/7 access to an exclusive community of successful podcasters who will help you answer your questions. How about staying up to date on the latest podcast trends and resources so that your show stays relevant? I like to go in there and tell you what's going on, what I'm learning, what breakthroughs I'm having, and so do the community members. Also, access to a community of podcasters who are committed to helping you and get your show ratings, reviews, and growth. Let's just face it. You're going to have questions, and along the road, you're going to want that extra support, and you're going to want a community to support you, to surround you with, and have that expertise, and that's what the community offers you. Plus, this is one of my favorite things. We're giving you a 90-day 200% money back guarantee. Look, we're going to take all the risk and put our money where our mouth is. We guarantee you results. When you invest in Paid to Podcast, we guarantee that by 90 days, you will have at least double your following and exposure as long as you do everything in the course. And if you do everything in the course and you don't at least get double your following after implementing the steps that we've shown you within those 90 days, you know what? I don't deserve your money. On top of that, you probably deserve to be paid. That means we're going to pay you. That's the 200% money back guarantee. You're not going to find this from anyone else online because this is our commitment to you. We want there to be no risk whatsoever. So when you decide to join, enroll in Paid to Podcast, we believe in this program so much that we're willing to risk our own money because we want results for you that badly.
And there's one more level of membership available for you. Now, for those of you who want personal support and you want us to be here to fully ensure that you have the success from the beginning, we have a VIP option available at a huge price reduction.
Oh yeah, when you go VIP, we're talking about $6,000 in additional help, support, and bonuses. Mastermind calls with one-on-one support, easily valued at $19.97. I think we could have raised the value on that. That's what we put down. You're going to get 6 monthly mastermind calls with Kamala and myself, where you're guaranteed one-on-one support, mentoring, and hot seats. Also, how about a 2-day in-person live event valued at $2,997? I think that could be worth more too, but that's what we put it at. 2-day in-person live event with Kamala, with me, and we're going to work with you live with you to help you grow your audience, create that perfect offer, and turn your audience into a 6-figure online business. It's going to be hosted in January 11th and 12th, 2018. Recordings are available, and it's in beautiful Seattle. Kamala and I are going to roll up our sleeves and personally be there with you live in person to help you, to support you. And we're not stopping there for you VIPers. We're going to give you 1 month of done-for-you podcast editing valued at $1,000. The number one thing that holds people back from getting a podcast launched is the editing. It can be a lot of work trying to figure out the complicated softwares to create professional sounding shows. We're going to take that off your hands. Our team of expert sound engineers, the people that we use for our very own show, the exact same team, they're going to do your editing completely free for 1 month.
So let's break it down what you're going to get with Paid to Podcast. Then section 1, we're going to help you release your pro quality podcast. Section 2, connect with high level guests. Section 3, we're going to supercharge your following. In section 4, we're going to create your offer and make money podcasting. Plus, you're going to get $2,000 in additional bonuses. In the first bonus is going to be that technical guide for the non-techie person. Bonus number 2 is the Save Your Time and Money resource guide. Bonus number 3, outsource all your work. I have to tell you guys, we are living the 4-hour work week based off of what we are teaching you in this outsource guide. It is fully possible. We're doing it. You can do it. And bonus number 4, you're going to have the Mastermind Facebook group, and you're going to have 24/7 access to support in there. We want you guys to be set up for success, so we give you all the support you need, especially if you go into VIP. You're going to get nearly $6,000 in additional help, support, and bonuses with VIP. With the VIP, you're going to get mastermind calls with one-on-one support. You're going to get the 2-day live event, and you're going to get 1 month of done-for-you podcasting. This alone is worth the whole value of everything. All of this is nearly $14,000 in value, but we're going to make it so much less today. We want you to have the success that you need.
So look, all you need to do now is choose the option that you want. Option 1, the standard membership, which is a low price of 4 payments of $297, or 20% off if you pay in full, or save that 20%. Or grab option 2, the VIP membership, which is just 8 payments of $277, and of course, the 20% if you pay in full today. Now, look, we love rewarding people who take fast action. I believe money loves speed, the universe loves speed, and the universe loves faith. So for that fast action bonus, if you take action today, you're going to get a lifeline call with Kamala or myself if you buy during the webinar. That means you'll have access to Kamala or myself. We're here to help you when you need it most.
Now, this is what you need to do. Next is just to get Paid to Podcast now at paidtopodcast.com/enroll. Luis is including that in the chat box if Brandon hasn't already done that. So you can go to paid2podcast.com/enroll. You just choose the option that you want. Right here, you can choose between the standard or the VIP. You can save quite a bit of money if you pay in full versus making the payment plan. And then you enter your information right here on this page, and you're going to have instant access to everything you need. We're not going to hold anything back. We're not going to drip this out, because maybe you say, well, I already got the information on launching my podcast. I just want to boost my following quickly. So we're going to give you everything as soon as you enroll. And if you're still on the fence about that, you may be watching this and you might be thinking, okay, well, I know that this is a training and I have everything I've gotten from this training, but I just don't have the money right now. And when you think like that, you're operating from your circumstance, and we want you to operate from something different. Because if you keep operating from your current situation, you're going to keep yourself in the same place.
And who wants more of the same? Look, the fact that you're on this training means that you want to change your circumstances, right? But if you do nothing different, you're going to keep getting the same for week after week after week, month after month, and even years after years. And maybe you're okay with that because you think you'll be in the same situation in a few years or a few weeks. But look, you're actually even worse off. Have you ever looked back and started something and then you had all this success and all these results and you said, why didn't I just start back then? And then you realize that you actually lost time and money because you didn't implement soon enough, because you didn't believe soon enough. Look, we're ready to be here with you to see you through success. You see these two circle images? Well, one of the things that Jack Canfield told me on our interview, as he said, Luis, the small circle, that's your comfort zone. Most of us tend to exist inside the small circle. But if you want to have success and where magic happens in life, it's that bigger circle that's outside of your comfort zone. It's outside of your normal circle of comfort. He told me, live on that edge and you're going to have a lot more success. And since then, I swear my life has changed a lot.
You guys, this is the thing, is that there isn't any risk. We have this 90-day money back guarantee, 200%. We believe in this so much that you could go through all of the training and implement everything. And if it doesn't work to at least double your following, we're gonna pay you. We're double the money that you put in. We want you to have results. We're making this an absolute no-brainer. We are willing to put our own money on the line because we want you to have these results. So all you need to do is get Paid to Podcast at paidtopodcast.com, enroll, and choose the option that you want.
And make sure to sign up now before this masterclass is over, because you can also get that lifeline call with Kamala or myself.
And for those of you who've stayed to the end, like we said, we want to make sure we give you that free bonus of the Ultimate Podcaster's Launch Guide. It has some really great resources and links in there. It just goes more in depth on how to get your podcast launched. Luis,
boom, I just dropped the link, guys. If you want that free guide, we've dropped it in there for you. Click that link. You've got a guide.
Yeah, we'll send that to you directly.
It comes to you directly through Facebook. No opt-in needed.
So we'll see you over there at Paid to Podcast, enroll. You can get inside of Paid to Podcast. We're excited to listen to your podcast. We want to subscribe. We want to see what you guys have to offer, which industry leaders you're going to connect with, and start making money from your podcast too. So we're going to be here for the next 10 minutes answering questions, making sure that you guys have all your questions answered. Remember that if you before this next 10 minutes before this masterclass is over, we are going to give you that lifeline call. That means when you need it most, when you're struggling and you wish that you had someone to reach out to, you're going to get on the call with Luis and I for 45 minutes. You're going to be able to get all your questions answered when you need it most. I tell you, I really can't tell you how many times I wish that I had a lifeline call, someone to call up and just walk me through when I was stuck. And, I've had to spend a lot of time, a lot of money trying to just figure it out myself. I don't want that for you guys. We're giving you the bonus of the 24/7 support in the Facebook group. We're giving you all the action steps. We're not holding anything back. There's not this gap in the information where, oh, if only I had this one missing piece, then I could get to where Kamala and Luis have been talking about. No, we give you the exact strategies, the exact steps to get to where you want to be. So, Luis, is there any questions coming in on Facebook or in the chat roll?
Take a look here.
So just before we close out, you guys, Oh,
Keep going.
before we close out, I just want to say I really appreciate you guys taking the time to be here, because this information is so near and dear to our own hearts. It's so important that we share this with other people, because this is building what we've shared here today. It's one strategy in how we've been able to get to where we are today. The fact that we're able to be out in the middle of the woods in our beautiful little eco cabin, and then take off for 4 to 6 months at a time and travel to exotic places and work from anywhere and talk to our industry celebrities, people that we love, people that are our heroes. Every single living hero that I have, Luis has used these same exact methods that he shared with you on this call, and we've been able to talk with them and create a connection with them, and build rapport and relationships with them. So I just really want to make sure that you all have an opportunity to have results like this, to have that lifestyle. And that's why it's so important for us to bring you Paid to Podcast, to give you all of the steps and strategies that you need, and to make sure that there's not going to be this huge risk. I know that it's scary, right? Doing anything new in business, you don't know if it's going to pay off. It's terrifying. I feel that fear all the time in my own business. It's like always like stepping off a cliff and you don't know what's on the other side. And we wanted to make it so you don't have to do this alone. We're here to catch you. We're here to support you. And if you fall, you've got that lifeline call. Make sure that you enroll before this 10 minutes is up, because if you fall, you've got that lifeline call. We're here to support you. Luis, do you have any questions on the Facebook? Okay, we got one question here about what if I already have a podcast? Would this be a benefit to me? Well, if you've already have a show, it's okay, because as soon as you enroll into Paid to Podcast, you have access to everything, right? What most podcasters are doing, they launch their show. That's the easy part. We've already covered that. You're going to get that in that launch guide that we sent you. Launching a podcast is not the hard part. But what most people do is they launch a podcast, and then they don't get very many listeners. They don't connect with the right people. They don't get all of these glitzy, glamoury results that we've been talking about. And that's because they're missing really fundamental things. They're missing these strategies. And so even if you already have a podcast, you just skip that first section. There's so much more in there about how to supercharge your following, and how to connect with those big name guests, and how to actually make money off your podcast. Any one of those sections would cover the cost of this program. And that's not even to mention the bonuses that you're going to get on what we do. We have a show 5 times a week, and people think that we podcast full time, because every single day of the week we are everywhere. We're always in front of people, right? I'm not saying you should have a show that's 5 times a week. I think you should not have a show that's more than 1 time a week, but we podcast 5 times a week, and we are spending just a few hours a week, and our team is managing the rest. With that outsource guide bonus, that's amazing. Just to be able to outsource your work. People that we recommend you outsource to, they're only charging $2 to $4 an hour. Imagine saving your valuable time and putting that into other areas of your business. And remember, you've got that 90-day money, double your money back. So that literally means you put in $1,000, we give you $1,000 on top of everything, and we give you your money back if you don't get those results. If you follow the steps and you follow the strategies, and you don't at least double your following, and you don't at least get your show launched, and everything that we've been talking about here. This isn't just some big build up that we're just trying to get you guys enrolled into something. We want you to have these results. That's why we're making it available at such a low price too. The VIP option, that's only like an extra $800 to go VIP. And you guys, that means you're going to get done for you podcast editing. Just the done for you podcasting editing is $1,000. And then you're going to be able to sit with Luis and I for 2 days. We're going to be there live in person working on your business.
So we have a question here, Kamala. What if I'm afraid of my own voice?
This is a big one, you guys. People are terrified. They think their voice sucks, right? But the thing is that your podcast doesn't have to be you sitting there for 20 to 30 minutes talking about things. If you know how to ask a couple of really good questions, you just shut up and the guest does all the talking. These are high mileage questions, as I've learned in coaching school. High mileage questions. You ask a few good questions, and then in Paid to Podcast, you learn how to ask questions. You learn how to interview people too. So you don't have to worry about coming up with topics or, oh, people aren't going to like the sound of my voice. No, all you have to do is ask a few good questions and let the guests do the talking. Let them bring out their skills. We've got just 2 minutes left here with you guys. That if you haven't already signed up, I'm seeing that there's a lot of people coming in here. A lot of people. Oh, wow. There's a lot of people coming in on joining in to Paid to Podcast. And if you haven't already, you have 2 minutes. So I want to make sure that you guys claim that fast action bonus. We love working with people who take action. We love working with people who are saying yes to their business, who jump in and can take action right away. So that's why we have that bonus of that Lifeline call.
So here's another question. What if I don't have much of a following yet? Like, what if no one knows who I am really?
Yeah, that is a really important question. And this is what I say to that. How are you going to get a following if you don't have a podcast set up right? How are you going to get a following? Getting a following happens because you have your podcast and you leverage those interviews like we've talked about in this masterclass. So the quickest way to get your following is to get your podcast set up right and leveraging it with your guests. So that is it. Because imagine, okay, you start off, you launch your podcast, you do an interview with just, maybe you're sitting there and you're doing a little interview with someone who's not that well known. But you all of a sudden have your listeners, people that are in your sphere. And then now you have all the people that are in their sphere. Then you get maybe someone who's a little bit bigger name on your podcast. All of a sudden, not only do you have everyone in your sphere listening, everyone in that second guest sphere, but now everyone in that third guest sphere. Now imagine you get huge name guests on your show like we have, like Jack Canfield and Marianne Williamson and Gabby Bernstein. Those are really, really big name people. They have huge followings. So imagine all of a sudden how that exponentially grows. How many more people you have listening to your podcast. Every time you put out an episode, you have more and more people. Now, I hear the alarm going off. We've got 5 seconds on the clock. I just want to
look forward to seeing you guys in Paid to Podcast.
I want to thank you, the people that are already enrolled. I'm so thrilled to be working with you. I'm so thrilled that you are here with us because we are committed to you. We're committed to getting you results. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today. So much love to you guys, and look forward to seeing you in Paid to Podcast.